Hey, thanks for watching my video. This video is just a basic oil change on a Ducati M1100 Monster. I'm doing this video just to keep track of my maintenance on this particular bike so I have proof if I ever decide to sell it. So first thing I showed you was the drain plug at the bottom of the engine, and it's a 5mm hex head Allen socket. And we just want to loosen that drain plug and drop it out. And this oil change is the 12,000 mile oil change, I believe, when I wrote the tag, and you'll see it at the end of this video. I am at 12,223 miles on the bike so far. This is a 2009 Ducati M1100. Here's the drain plug with the magnet on top. Always make sure that magnet's in good condition. And I'm going to tell you that I suggest that you always use a Ducati OEM oil filter, crush washer when changing your oil. Get a new one every oil change. If you're new to Ducatis, say you came from Honda, Ducati's crush washers are not like Honda crush washers that you can use 20 times over and over and over. Ducati crush washers are absolutely a one-time use only. If you decide to use a Ducati crush washer more than one time, expect to have some oil dripping out of the bottom of your bike, because they are only good for one time. So there's the new crush washer in place. Crush washers are really cheap, and to buy an OEM crush washer, I usually go out and they come in a 10-pack. So usually they're like 30 to 50 cents when you buy a 10-pack. And then this is my Ducati specialty oil filter wrench. I hope you could see the manufacturer. This is actually the second time that I've used this oil filter wrench, and I gotta say, I'm honestly not a big fan. I'm a huge fan of this company's tools, but their oil filter wrench, it pretty much sucks. So you would do better with a large oil filter pliers, because this particular tool just sucks as far as oil filter wrenches go. So oil filter's off, and pretty much all the oil is drained out of the bike right now. So once you get that oil filter out of the way, you can see all the funk that's underneath your bike. So this week I've been on vacation, and I have been in the rain on this bike so many times that I can't even possibly count how many times I've been in the rain on this bike this week. And only this bike. Any other bike I rode this week, I never got in the rain. But every time I rode this particular bike, I got stuck in rain somewhere. So there was a lot of crap built up on the bottom of this bike, all over this bike. I wiped it down before this morning's ride, and the bike was just filthy from yesterday's rain. So I'm just wiping this area where the oil filter sits. The only time you're ever going to be able to clean this is when the oil filter's off the bike anyway. So, do a good job of cleaning this up. So this is the OEM Ducati oil filter. I hope you can read that part number. I am not going to list it anywhere else in this video or in the description. I take a little bit of the used oil and I just put it on the oil filter seal, just enough so that oil filter seal doesn't stick to my engine when I go to take it off next time. And it doesn't matter if you use dirty oil on that gasket. It doesn't matter. You just want some lubrication to make it easier to twist that oil filter off next time. So I'm wiping everything clean just one last time before I put my oil filter in place. And I'm telling you, this bike is just dirty right now. And then we're going to take our oil filter, we're going to spin it on, and we're going to get it on there tight. So use your German torque wrench and get it Guten tight, but do not put a wrench on your oil filter. Get it hand tight as you can get it. Sometimes I will put a wrench on an oil filter and maybe get a little bit snugger fit to the oil filter, but there's really no need to do that. That oil filter is not going anywhere. So now we're going to clean off the bottom of the bike and put our oil drain plug back into place. So the oil drain plug, make sure your magnet is good. Make sure you have a brand new OEM Ducati crush washer on your drain plug. And you can actually feel, when you're tightening that drain plug, you can actually feel that crush washer crush itself onto the engine. So that kind of gives you a good feeling, a warm fuzzy feeling inside, knowing that no oil is going to come dumping out of the bottom side of your engine. So now it's time to add oil. This bike with the dry clutch is going to set you back about 3 quarts of oil, maybe a little bit more. With the wet clutch, it's probably going to be closer to 3.2 quarts. But yeah, I'm going to say when I checked the 5-quart bottle of oil when I was done, I was right at 2 quarts left in the jug. The oil we're going to be using today is going to be Mobil 1 10W40 high mileage. If you use the Mobil 1 10W40 on all of your motorcycles, you will be okay. Whatever is in that particular motor oil appears to be safe for the clutches. Since this bike does have dry clutches, you can pretty much put any oil into this engine and it will be fine for the life of the motorcycle. But I choose with all of my motorcycles to run this high mileage Mobil 1 10W40. I have hundreds of thousands of miles on motorcycles using this particular motor oil. I've never had a clutch problem. Never had a clutch problem. And that's including a 2008 Ducati 848, which I purchased new. And it currently has 65,000 miles with this Mobil 1 10W40 put into the bike every 3,000 miles. And again, today we are on the 12,000 mile oil change on this M1100. And we're going to put 3 quarts of Mobil 1 10W40 high mileage into it. 3 quarts is about right. I filled it up to where I just had a tiny bubble left in the sight glass, and then I started up the bike and let it run, and then when I turned the bike off, I was just about at the low line, and I added the rest of the oil to get it down to where there's only 2 quarts left in a 5-quart jug. When you're adding oil to this, do remember that that exhaust pipe is close to the fill plug, and it is very hot, very, very hot. So we have our plug back into the bike. Now we're going to start it, let it idle for a little bit. As loud as this dry clutch is, it is very difficult to tell that this bike has a Termi system without baffles And the motorcycle itself is a very, very loud motorcycle. That right there is one loud clutch. And it makes music when it's jingling through the mountains. Alright, now we'll just watch the sight glass and we'll see where the oil lands. And like I said, it's going to be right at the bottom of the that lower level line. Alright, so now I'm going to take the oil level up to the full line. Some guys, especially the racers, prefer to have the oil level at the low line or right in the middle to reduce weight. You know the word I'm thinking of, what I'm going to call on that one. I ride my Ducati on the street, and it's an air-cooled motorcycle, so I want as much oil in my crankcase for better lubrication and better cooling. So you decide what you want, you go with that, because it's your bike, this one's mine. So as you see in the sight glass, I'm at the high line right now, and in the jug, the 5-quart jug, I'm at 2 quarts left in the jug, which means I've put 3 quarts in the bike. And again, when you're putting in this fill plug, be careful, that pipe is very hot, so be careful not to touch it. So there we go. That's pretty much our oil change. Thanks for watching this video. I'm going to add a little bit more, but again, this video is mainly just so I can document the maintenance that's been done on this bike. So here we are, we're at 12,000 miles, 223. I did use an OEM Ducati oil filter. If you watched one of my other videos where I put the RoadSport on this bike, I'm roughly at 1,700 miles on a set of tires. With the Bridgestone S22Rs, I get about 1,200 miles out of a set of tires. The front tire is running a little bit thin on the edges, and that's kind of because I push it through the turns a little bit harder than maybe I should. But the back tire looks amazing for how I've been riding this bike. So the Dunlop RoadSport is a good choice of tire for this bike. I'm even going to try them out on my Ducati 848 and see how they go. Thanks for watching this video.